Welcome to Volume 11 RockTalk Podcast, brought to you by Volume 11 Music. Your hosts, Rich Hoffa, Rick Lawhorn, and Mark Dunn. RockTalk, Volume 11 Music.
Hey, welcome to Rock Talk at Volume 11 Music in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I'm Rich.
Rick Lawhorn.
Mark Dunn.
All right. So hey, if you're enjoying this, this is what, 38 episodes?
We just did 37. This is now episode 38. We've not been canceled yet. We're
38.
still rolling.
We're almost a year into this.
Oh, getting there.
Seriously?
Yeah. It was the end of July going into August was the first two. Last week in July and the first week in August. So we're now in May, getting ready to hit June.
And we got the new merch on.
Yeah.
We're all doing the new merch.
Part of the contract
podcast.
negotiations for this year as well.
That's right. That's right. You can pick these up on our website, and I can mail them to you. Or if you're local, stop on by and pick yourself up
coffee
one.
too, man.
Yeah, we got the Volume 11 coffee.
Hats,
we got hats. We got
Shirts.
T-shirts. We got some gray Volume 11 T-shirts.
I like the gray. That's cool.
So we're getting
We
more.
got gray?
Yeah,
more
like a movie.
merch,
Yeah, the gray is cool.
merch in. So, yeah. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like that video. Give us some comments. You know the routine.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. And we got a lot of really cool followers. Who's this episode going out to somebody?
Our viewer in Madagascar.
Madagascar.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We really have a viewer?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
I don't know why he's mad at his gas car, but get an EV.
Yeah.
So this week's episode, we're going to talk about unsung heroes or unsung bands. So either musicians that play in a band that don't get the limelight that they should. Maybe they're better than what they portray or who they're playing with, and bands that just didn't get the love that other bands did.
They
and
just didn't get the love.
That, are real freaking good. So
Right.
you guys want to start it off?
All right.
Go ahead, Rick.
I'll kick it off. All right. So for me, we've talked before. Obviously, everybody we know it's big. Van Halen, Leonard Skinner, the Rolling Stones. All right. Going back to my early days, early '80s, another player I discovered through friends of mine in high school, Michael Schenker, guitar player from Germany. And I, at the time, did not know who he was. And a couple of my friends were like, man, well, you like Eddie Van Halen, and you like, all these wild, fast guitar players. You got to check out Michael Schenker. And I'm like, I don't know who he is. And so Michael, at the time, he had two things going on. He was in a band called UFO out of England. And then he ended up leaving that and starting his own band. It was called the Michael Schenker Group. Now, for me, I love his
also
playing.
in Scorpions.
And he was in the Scorpions, but he
Scorpions.
wasn't really like in the heyday of the Scorpions. But obviously his brother is Rudolf Schenker. But my thought process was this: you sit down and man, he's got such great a feel, great vibrato, nice, fast, tasty phrasing, wonderful solos. They're right up there with everybody else. But everybody that I personally knew, other than these few guys in high school that had some albums, they're like, never heard of him. Michael Schenker, I don't know who he is. UFO, you ever heard of the band UFO? Nope, never heard of him. Or I've heard the name, but I don't really know any songs. You would never really hear him on the radio, at least in this area. You never saw, at that time, we're talking early 80s, never really saw anything on MTV when you were seeing a lot of other rock bands getting played. So I'm thinking, this guy's great. Amazing player. He was in UFO, all the cool songs with that band. Then he starts his own band, the Michael Schenker Group. If there's a Central Virginia chapter fan club, I want to be the president of the Michael Schenker fan club. So I'm going to throw him out there as one of my big unsung heroes. Now there are people that are like, and he's got a big following in Europe, so he nowadays plays a lot over there. But I was just surprised at how many people I meet here in Virginia that really had never heard of him or had no real deal with his playing style.
Super influential though. Like if you talk to a lot of guitar players that are
absolutely they are on it. Yeah,
Michael Schenker and then I hear direct rips from modern bands on UFO stuff. Lights Out from
London.
And that to me, that's Pleasure Dome from Van Halen.
It is. I noticed that too. That there's, Eddie never really mentioned it, but I always wonder if he secretly was listening to a little bit of Schenker here and there and going.
He lifted the tape off with the finger.
Yeah, right.
And another great riff that's super slippery from him is Captain Nemo. That is.
Yeah, the Captain Nemo one is excellent. Into the Arena. It's an instrumental off the first Michael Schenker Group.
And great tone.
Tone was awesome.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Always playing a
Plexi,
Flying V.
Flying V, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a good one. I mean, actually, even being aware and listening to him, it's not front of mind.
Yeah. Most people, you say, who are your top? Definitely Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads, Yngwie Malmsteen, Jimi Hendrix, and I love all of them, of course. But only if if you know. And every now and then you'll meet that one, I like Michael Schenker. But I'm a huge fan. I love Schenker's work. I'm glad he's still out there doing it. I think he's playing all over Europe this summer, doing a lot of big rock and metal festivals in Europe. So,
And if you've never heard of him, just look up Captain Nemo.
Captain Nemo. Very cool.
That's a puzzle when you listen
to it. Right. Yeah. And then I would like to add just one other player that he has admitted this, that had a similar style that I love right off the bat was Adrian Vandenberg, who played in a band called Vandenberg.
Yeah.
And they're Dutch, Dutch band. And I remember hearing about it right in a guitar magazine, like in '83 or whenever it was. And they said he's very similar to Michael Schenker, a little bit of Van Halenisms here and there, but a lot of Schenker. So I love Schenker. So I found at Penguin Feather Records in Northern Virginia that we used to have, and they had one copy of the Vandenberg debut album. I bought it, loved it, just fell in love with it. Now he did go on to bigger fame a few years later, working with Whitesnake. Yeah. And but going back to Vandenberg, and they had a couple other albums that I don't think sold great here in the States.
He was a live player with Whitesnake.
Yes.
I don't think he ever did.
He played on the original Here I Go Again. He was on that one song. He played the solo on that. John Sykes. Yeah.
John Sykes did.
No, Sykes did everything else.
Wow.
They brought in, for whatever reason, Vandenberg did that one song. He plays just the solo on that, on Here I Go Again, the original from the '87.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. I always thought it was Sykes.
No, and Sykes did, of course, everything else. And then live, of course, it ended up being Steve Vai and then they had Vivian Campbell there. So, but so Michael Schenker, Adrian Vandenberg, two favorites of mine who I just don't think they get as much recognition as they deserve compared to all the other great players that everybody talks about.
And they're still around.
And they're still doing it. Yeah.
Who you got, Rich?
Yeah. Rich, you're up.
Who do I have?
Yeah.
Unsung heroes. I'm going to go with a guitar player.
Okay.
Somebody I think that in the band's good. It's got nothing to do with that.
I mean, if you're going to talk about me, should I leave the room?
Yeah. right. But I'm going to go with Steve Stevens.
Oh yeah, with Billy Idol.
Because Billy Idol was more rockish pop punk type of deal, and it's as far as the guy's such a monster player, but playing more commercial than his talent level, because the guy. I mean, I've watched the guy play solo wise and stuff that he does, and you're going, wow, this guy can
I think
really
it's an argument that Rebel Yell might not have been the record it is had he not been the guitar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Had a lot of
he has as much to do with the success of the album as as the other stuff. And Roth wanted Steve Stevens.
Yeah, I do know that. Yeah. So and he was on Vince Neil's first solo album. That was Steve on guitar.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a great flamenco player.
Right.
I mean, he does a lot of great Spanish flamenco guitar as well.
Yeah.
Which is really
cool. I think, like you guys would know, and how good the guy is, but your average listener
he's great,
is just getting time to
Billy
Idol.
Right.
But I think, he's just, he's an incredible
He
player.
actually was like one of the first guys, too, that made sounds on the guitar that made me go, what is that?
Yeah. Is that a guitar? Yeah.
And so he was pretty... cutting edge and utilizing lexicon effects and things like that. The really cool people in the music industry that innovate do things with pieces of equipment that weren't necessarily meant to do what they do.
Right.
And he's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, great comment.
Yeah. So
and if you asked a lot of people, like, okay, Billy Idol is, right? Oh yeah, Billy Idol. Do you know his guitar players? A lot of people probably wouldn't be able. I mean, musicians would, but I think a lot of just casual fans probably wouldn't be able to name. Yeah. Just my opinion. But.
Yeah, I mean and Billy's still killing it too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But Steve Stevens is a persona, and pretty humble guy, and just a wonderful player. With always has great tone.
Yep, always.
Yeah.
Do agree.
Is that your only one?
That's pretty much it. I can get more into the bands
that you want to throw out there that he feels really heavily underrated, just to get the love that everyone else got.
Well, I'm always going to lean towards the local guy.
Kicks, right?
Kicks,
Kicks,
because
definitely.
They were just such a. Back in the '80s too. Not only they were had great songs. Great backups. The two guitar players working together.
Yeah, they're a great team.
They had solid, very solid drumming. Great backup singing and all that stuff. Catchy tunes. great stage show. I mean, back then, of course, you had to have a stage show, and they were, as far as movement goes, they were the monsters of really good stage shows and movements. So that would be my my unsung heroes, and they always got kicked to they never got the management that they needed.
And they've talked about that in many interviews.
Oh yeah, for
management
sure.
threw them under the bus,
never got pushed in
quite a bit in the music industry,
right direction and stuff like that. So that's going to be my unsung band heroes, because I think that they could have been a lot bigger than what they were. I mean,
and of course they were really well known in the region, but then when you go outside the region, they definitely. It wasn't like Guns N' Roses or Motley Crue. Everybody's heard of those bands, but Kicks,
Well, that's to LA. It might have, if they didn't, if they hadn't stayed from here, maybe that would have been different.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that because the East Coast was really hard to, come out of unless you were from New York.
Poison moved from Pennsylvania to LA.
Out to LA,
Well, Poison.
Richie Kotzen, Pennsylvania guy, goes out to LA. Billy Sheehan, Buffalo, New York guy, goes out to LA.
Poison kind of hijacked him a little bit and took the show on the road, say. But how about you, Mark?
I think one that all of us would appreciate as an unsung hero of a band with a monster guitar player is King's X.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
And that's also a band that's been the same three dudes.
Right. No lineup change.
If you think about just the prolific amount of songwriting that those guys have done, and 3-part harmonies, they don't do any backing tracks.
They're the real
Ty
deal.
Tabor, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, was one of those guys that everybody was like, "What's he using for his tone?" And used to cover that old Lab Series amp up with a sheet or something. And that's a band that, if you're not familiar with them, go look up Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, Dogman, bunch of wonderful records.
Yeah, all great stuff.
Another one is Big Wreck. So they've been a band on the scene since '98. They're out of Canada. Ian Thornley is the front man. It's really his band, and I want to be him when I grow up. He is if you want a guy that can rip like Steve Morse on guitar, and that can sing like Chris Cornell, this is him. And the songs that they write are pop prog. So I'm not saying they're a pop band, but some of the melodies are so sensible. They're the kind of thing that when I listen to it, I go, I would have never tried that because I would have thought it would have sounded stupid.
They pull it off. That's cool.
And then odd times, he was just ripping solos. My favorite record from them is Albatross, but no record is bad at all. And then a guitar player that's an unsung hero, and in my top 5 favorite guitar players is Michael Landau.
Oh yeah, Michael.
And if you listen to the radio, terrestrial radio or satellite radio, and any aspect of classic rock for any amount of period, and even country, you're going to hear him play guitar and you don't know it.
Right.
So he's that session guy that also had a band called Burning Water, and he's a guitar player that's on tour with James Taylor. He's his preferred guitar player. He's a tone monster. Everybody kind of looks to him. What's Landau using? He's using. I mean, he's literally a guy that if he says he's using a pedal,
you're gonna buy it.
There's going to be 1,000 people.
You know it's got to be good because he's using
That's
it,
exactly
and he's gonna make it sound great.
So and he's he's not even super famous.
No, we know because we know, but a lot of people don't know.
But you can always say if somebody starts working retail, if Rich is going to get a call for a unique pedal from 5 or 6 people, that's because of someone, and there's a pretty good chance it's Michael Landau. So that's if you haven't heard him, just look him up because his discography is in the thousands of records. So those would be my 3 kind of contribute to that.
And just to piggyback on that for a second, so you do have and we've talked a little bit before, but those amazing studio players. He's one of them. Brett Mason in Nashville, of course. Carl Varahan out in Los Angeles. Phenomenal players. They played on like thousands and thousands and thousands of records. And again, we know because we're kind of in the industry, but a lot of people like, hey, you ever heard of Brett Mason? Or they're like, I've heard the name, but I don't really know what he does. But great players, and they've done a lot of music.
And I mean, Landau's played on Pink Floyd records.
Right.
It's like he walks in and goes, "What am I doing?" And Jeff Beck. And so it's those are the types of players that are intriguing because what would you rather have, the fame or the money? I'd rather nobody know me and I'd rather have all the money.
Exactly.
if I win the lottery, I'm not going to tell anybody, but there will be signs, which is
will
RockTalk
be
will be
signs.
those two.
Yeah.
There will be signs.
Mark students will be floating in.
Yeah.
Where's Mark at? I don't know. He must have hit the lottery. He's not here. He's gone.
He's out buying pedals at Mike
Yeah,
Landau.
yeah, right.
right.
Every pedal Mike's.
But like the vintage stuff, like the Tycho Brahe Octavia, those go for $10,000.
I know. I've heard some crazy stories on the
And
vintage
he
pedals.
used one. It's like everybody starts looking for it.
I got to use that pedal.
Yeah, it's nuts, So it's kind of it's neat when you think about the impact that they have on this industry.
Yeah.
While they go unnoticed, actually being listened to.
Right.
Yeah.
Those who know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's it. Yeah, there's a lot of unsung heroes out there. A lot of unsung
Bands too. I mean, you think about the late '80s. That era of hard rock.
Right.
We got Guns N' Roses. Obviously, was one of the biggest bands ever. But there were a lot of great bands just kind of floating under the radar.
Yeah.
Dangerous Toys. I thought they were cool.
Oh yeah,
Remember
I love
that?
Dangerous Toys.
Fastway.
And you had Fastway.
Heavy Bones, which was Ringer
That's right.
players.
Yeah.
Gary Hoey and Joe and Frankie Benali.
Frankie Benali.
Yeah.
All good stuff. But
Had a
they just,
motocross helmet with the Dangerous Toys clown.
that's
hanging
right.
on
Yeah, the
top
clown.
of
They had
it.
the little clown logo thing on the
Yeah.
album. And
Waited to wear that helmet and crashed the first lap that I wore it, and went over the bars and put a bunch of chips in it.
all right.
Well, it's because you were playing with Dangerous Toys.
Danger. Yeah, you play with Danger.
It was.
Yeah, and there was Danger with Andy Timmons. on guitar. Andy's
Well,
an amazing
Al
guitar player.
Petrelli did that record.
That's right.
Andy did it
I
too.
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Al Petrelli went on to play.
He was with Megadeth. He was on one of their albums.
Taylor
Yeah, he's been like with all kinds of gigs.
I
There.
haven't seen or heard from him in a long time. I wonder if he's still at it. But,
Yeah.
he,
I bought a Megadeth live album years ago, and this was back when they were going through so many weird changes. And he was the other guitar player with Dave Mustaine.
after Marty.
This was after Marty left, and it was a live. It had a lot of the Marty material from Rust in Peace, that era, but it was not Marty Freeman. It was Al Petrelli, and then of course Mustaine doing the Dave Mustaine parts.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good.
I wouldn't want to learn the Marty Freeman.
No.
Yeah.
That's above my pay grade right there. No, he's a phenomenal, amazing guitar player. Really good.
That's it. That's it. Well, I guess that wraps up this week's episode of Rock Talk. And again, if you're enjoying the videos, please hit the subscribe button and make sure to like the video, share the video, leave us a comment, and leave some if there's something you want us to talk about.
Yeah, ideas for shows.
Put it in the comments, and we'll try to get an episode going out on it. So, where are you guys playing at this weekend?
As soon as this is done, I'm gonna
You got a lot of that
morph
going
over
on.
to Charlottesville for Devil's Backbone for tonight, and then tomorrow. I don't know. I'm on the road somewhere, and then Saturday and Sunday.
We don't
I have
even
to look
know
at my
that's
schedule.
how
The next 6 or 7 weeks are dumb in a good way.
a good one.
That's
good,
good.
Dom.
Yeah, that's good.
So this will be right before the Saturday that would follow this show would be May 31st. I'll be at Billikens Barbecue right here in good old downtown Fredericksburg, Virginia. Right. Cactus Jack, 5 to 8 p.m. We start from 5, go to 8. Fun place, great barbecue. They got awesome barbecue.
Yeah, really
so
good.
come on down. Nothing else. You don't have to like Cactus Jack, or anything we play, but get the barbecue sandwich because it's pretty daggone good. It's
And
fun,
get
fun
the
place.
Cactus Jack sauce on the barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Mr. Rich.
I don't know, but I just hope I'm relaxing.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Stress-free weekend.
Stress-free weekend.
Stress-free.
Play the drums, play the dog,
Yeah.
ride the motorcycles.
Good stuff.
Don't do any yard work. Those types of
Life
things.
is good.
That's what I look forward to. So.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys on the next episode of Rock Talk. Peace.
Peace out.
This has been an episode of Volume 11 Rock Talk Podcast, brought to you by Volume 11 Music.